Top Dog Sales Training. In this video, I want to break down to you guys why I believe sales is a high income skill. And I mean, it's not even just that I believe it and it's my opinion, it's proven fact. So anybody that you know that has developed their sales skills probably are making pretty good money if they're actually good at it, okay? So watch the whole video. Hopefully you guys can get some value out of it, but I'm gonna start with the first part here, and it's that you don't actually need any formal education. So what I mean by that is you don't need to go to university and get a degree. You don't need to get some type of certification in sales or something like that to start a sales position somewhere. There is a multitude of different opportunities that you can utilize to make a ton of money if you want to develop your sales skills. And the barrier of entry is actually very minimal. So like, for instance, I work in car sales. I'm a sales manager at the top Hyundai dealership in Western Canada. We're absolutely crushing it. But obviously I started on the sales floor where I crushed it. I was a top performer for an extended period of time. But I didn't have to have any education. I basically just went to 2 dealerships and I applied. And the one dealership called me back and said, hey, come in for an interview. Had an interview with them. They did a great job of pitching me because I actually was on a break from university, and I had it was summer break. And I remember the manager basically told me, because I was like, yeah, I'm going back to school in September, and it was July. And he's like, okay. He's like, but if you're making a ton of money, would you quit school? And I said, hey, you know what? If the price is right, I need to make money at the end of the day. And he's like, oh, okay, perfect, sounds good. So they took a chance on me, right? And then I started and just absolutely crushing it right off the bat. And you know what? Then I didn't go back to school. So I ended up 2 years. I was halfway through getting my degree, but I just found this new opportunity and I just jumped in on it, and it's completely changed my life. So that's why I'm telling you guys, it's a high income skill that you should learn. And if you're somebody who maybe feels lost and you're not 100% sure what you should do, if you're young, something like that, get into a sales position where you can learn those skills, because you're going to learn so many skills that are going to be relevant to basically so many different areas in your life, right? So what I mean by that is, even here's a couple things that I wrote. So communication and negotiating, right? So if you get into a sales position, you're going to learn those skills, and you're going to have to sharpen up those skills, because you're going to have to communicate with people all day, every single day. So you're literally going to be working on that skill nonstop. You have to communicate with customers. You have to communicate with your managers so you can learn how to, do everything properly and stick to the process. And communication is going to be a major key and a major factor. And then obviously you're going to learn more about negotiating, right? And I mean, at the end of the day, negotiating is a life skill that you need to have. You're always going to need to negotiate on something, right? Even you don't even realize, but when you were a kid, your parents were probably negotiating with you. They're like, hey, you know what, Jimmy, if you can just go ahead and clean up your room, then maybe we can get some ice cream later, right? So they're already negotiating with you, and it's negotiating with the goal of coming to a mutual agreement, right? And that's where you're negotiating. But if you don't ask, you don't get, right? And that's another thing, is a lot of people that haven't worked in a sales position or haven't worked in car sales specifically, let's say, they don't realize that you can negotiate on things, right? And since I've been in car sales, when I started back in 2016, now I just basically negotiate on everything, right? I'll at least ask and see if I can get a little bit of a discount, if there's any way that they can cut me a break. You got to ask, because if you don't ask, you don't get. So when you master that skill of communicating and negotiating, it's gonna coincide with basically anything that you're doing in your life. And look, even if you're not working in a commission sales job, having the ability to communicate and negotiate are going to be vital to your ability to progress in a company, right? So, because let's say you're going to present to your general manager or your owner that it should be you who gets the promotion, right? Versus everybody else who's trying to get the same promotion. Now, what are you going to do to set yourself apart? But if you know how to communicate and present right, yourself accordingly and pitch them and persuade them and convince them why you're the best option for the role based on whatever criteria you can come up with, then you're able to convey that message to them. And if it's received properly, then all of a sudden you get that promotion, right? You get the promotion. And on top of that, if you know how to negotiate, then you can negotiate a better salary. Because a lot of people, they don't even know to ask for a raise, right? So like, look, this is important to any aspect of life, any job that you have. It's important to have the ability to negotiate and just at least ask, right? Ask for a raise. This is why I feel like I should get a raise. Be able to communicate yourself and negotiate effectively so that you can get that promotion that you want, right? Or be able to communicate and persuade to your kids. Let's say you have kids. You got to be able to communicate to them and explain things to them in a proper way. But guess what, guys? That's sales at the end of the day. These are just subsets of sales. They're just core principles that, you know, are important to the aspect of sales. That's it, right? Now, next one I put is that there's no ceiling. So there's no ceiling. There's a ceiling here. You can't see it in the video, but there's no ceiling on how much money you can actually make. Now, that's the thing that I love about sales, and that's the reason why I'm making the extra time making all these videos, is because there's no ceiling on how much money you can make. So that's what I love about sales. And not only that, you get paid as a result of the effort. So the amount of effort you put in will have a direct result on the amount of money that you actually make. And I remember when I first realized that, when I was actually in the interview, when I was at the Nissan store, when they were about to hire me, and they asked me like, yeah, like what kind of money do you want to be making? And I told them, I was like, as much as possible. Ideally, $10,000 a month or more, right? And they're like, oh, okay, I like that. And then I just explained to them, I was like, look, I was working as a security guard. Like right now I'm working as a security guard. I'm going to school at the same time. And like, even though I'm the best security guard and I handle everything properly like a professional, as fast as possible, and I'm always on point in every aspect of my job, I'm not going to get paid more than the $16.55 an hour or whatever the hell I was getting paid, no matter how much effort I put in. So that's why sales is such a high income skill, because if you put in the extra effort, you put in as much effort as you want, guess what? You're going to get paid as a result of the effort that you're actually putting in, right? So you got to take all those things into consideration. And that's why sales is a skill that anybody and everybody should learn. Doesn't matter if, but I'm an engineer and like I'm in tech, like this is all I want to do is just be behind the desk and do computer stuff. Sure, I get it. That's fair. However, you're still going to need to communicate and negotiate your salary if you want to get paid a little bit more, right? So all I'm saying is it's a skill that everybody should develop. And the reason is because it's a high income skill. Regardless of even if you're in a commission sales position, or if, like I said, you're just in, you have a job somewhere. You got to be able to communicate, negotiate, and there's no ceiling, and you get paid as a result of the effort that you put in. So hopefully you guys got some value out of this. I absolutely love sales. I love going through these videos with you guys. So do me a favor, hit like, hit the subscribe button that's going to pop up right there, and follow for more.